fine. We're live. And I'm Kristi Hunter.
And I'm Janine Roche.
She's over there. I've been doing, this is like my 6th or 7th thing using this, and I still point the wrong
direction.
Yeah. It feels backwards, but
yeah.
It's all good. So we are very happy that you are here with us tonight to debunk some myths about Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Because there are so many. Like, we think about books and movies and all of these, just the pop culture and stuff around Valentine's Day. And there's just these ideas that we've built up in our head, at least in the US. I really don't know what it's like in other countries. But
that would be an interesting question. We need people to chime in with that.
These ideas about what Valentine's Day is supposed to be. Yeah. And I will admit, Janine, we're part of the problem of that.
We are. We do set up a little bit of a romantic, feeling around us because of what we do. But it's not bad. I mean, romance isn't bad.
Romance is fabulous.
Yeah, as long as you have a healthy level of expectation and understanding of what's fictional and what's real. I don't have a very good understanding of that. I tend to get a little too sucked into the fictional elements, but,
Well, you need that for being a writer,
Exactly.
So if there are people watching this that don't know who we are, we're romance writers. So we live in, romance land all the time. Mm-hmm. But we also live in the real world, when we're not in books. And There are just some things that through our personal experience, I've been working with, teenagers and young adults for almost 20 years now in the church. And so I've seen a lot of relationships start and end through those times. And Janine, you do this professionally.
I do. I teach classes in human development and family relations at the University of Colorado. And so a lot of the classes that I teach are love, family, and human development classes and family resource management. So I'm always talking about love and marriage and dating and family, whether I'm at my day job or my writing job. So yeah.
Janine just like drips romance everywhere. She just lives in it. So if you're watching, we would love for you to tag a friend, tell them to come over and join the fun as we kind of like take some of these myths and ideas and we blow them apart with reality, because we need to be grounded in reality while we dream in the clouds, feet on the ground, head in the clouds. I think that works really well in romantic situations.
Yes, so. It does. And I see Beth has joined us. Hi, Beth. Thanks for joining us today. And also, if you are checking in, let us know where you're coming from, where you're checking in from. And especially if you're from outside the United States, we apparently don't know what goes on with Valentine's Day outside. So if you're from Australia.
I know a little bit about 2 centuries ago.
Exactly. I hope you talk about that and about your Regency era novels and how romance has changed, whether it's for Valentine's Day or just in general, because I know I'm fascinated by that. I would love to hear it.
So, well, we will see. That may come up a little bit. I do want to say, if you haven't said hello yet and you haven't commented yet, you want to do so, because there is a prize up for grabs tonight. One random commenter from this is streaming in 3 locations. So one random commenter from across all 3 is going to win this lovely Ferrero gift set. Okay, so it's got like 3 different flavors of their little hazelnut truffle things. It's like in 3 different things. And you're going to get that to celebrate Valentine's Day in a very cliched way. It'll probably arrive after Valentine's Day, but you will still get your lovely Ferrero chocolates that you can just indulge in.
Yes. And I believe you say that Ferrero Rocher, isn't it?
Well,
because people always wonder if you say it the same way as my name.
I thought it was Ferrero Rocher, but what it is there are Ferrero Rocher in there, but that's only one flavor. That's actually the flavor of the ball. I did not know that until I looked up this gift set.
I didn't know that either.
So that is the one in the gold wrapper that has the hazelnut bits in it.
Oh, well, that's my favorite one. So I guess it works perfectly then.
That's the classic. That's the Ferrero Rocher.
Okay.
Which is not exactly how you pronounce your last name, but it's close.
It's how I pronounce it. It's not how you spell it. So
yes. But that's just the one in the middle. And then there's 2 other variations in this gift box. So tell your friends to come, because if you tag them, that's another entry because it's a comment.
Yes.
So there you go. So if you are international, I am just going to say this. If you're international, you're going to get a gift card from us instead of getting chocolates.
Yeah. It's way easier.
Out of the US.
Yes. And you'll also get a copy of one of my books. And my most recent one is Glory Falls, but it's the 3rd in the series. So if you would rather have This Wandering Heart or Wildflower Road, you can choose one of those. And don't mind my dogs barking that time of night where they just go insane. So
it's that time of night. I didn't know we were throwing books in, but I'll throw a book in.
Well, good. They'll have plenty of reading.
Well, I'm not going to list all the titles.
You have quite a bit. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Valentine's Day. Let's talk about Valentine's Day. How did you do Valentine's Day growing up? Like, what are some ideas you had about Valentine's Day kind of before you really started having Valentine's Day? Like before you had the significant other or whatever. I'm going to sneeze.
You go ahead and do that, and I'll answer your question. So I've always loved Valentine's Day. You know, I grew up in a house that we weren't especially affectionate. We didn't really, tell each other I love you all the time. And, I mean, we did love each other, but it wasn't a very affectionate household. And we also, we didn't have a ton of money growing up. And so we didn't often get gifts. Like we would get a gift at Christmas and our birthday. But Valentine's Day was the one time when my mom would get us a little gift, a little box of chocolates. Because again, like I was saying earlier, food is my love language. So I'll take it. And then my dad would get us a heart-shaped box of chocolates. And it was something I looked forward to every Valentine's Day morning. And I was probably that kid that ate half the box before I even went to school. So I don't know, it always had kind of this moment of, even though we didn't really say I love you or show a ton of affection, it meant a lot, when you're a 7-year-old kid and you wake up and your parents give you that kind of a gift, just to say that they love you. So that's kind of where that's where I got my initial love for Valentine's Day.
Did you watch a Charlie Brown Valentine's as a kid?
No, I never saw that one. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things where that kind of got into my head. My dad did the Valentine's Day thing for me growing up as well. Like he always included me. He got me a little something, as his Valentine. But I think the whole thing on a Charlie Brown Valentine's, of course, he's always trying to get that card from the little redheaded girl, or figure out the perfect card to give the little redheaded girl. And was
it Peppermint Patty?
No,
she was the one that had a crush on him, right?
Redheaded girl. I don't know.
Who that is.
Had a name. The little redheaded girl. And I don't, like, when you were a kid and you had that, the box of the 32 paper Valentines to take to class, and you would sit there and be like, does Kim get the dog or the cat? And like, you would like really think about this. Like,
right.
You would, because it meant that you had to give somebody something that was going to be meaningful, even though it was trash that was going to hit the trash can by the end of the day.
Right.
You're like, this needs to mean something. And I think that just leads into, the more we get up, the more we start thinking that Valentine's Day is going to be something that it not necessarily is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
Let's get into myth number 1.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hi, Rachel. Thanks for joining us.
Oh yes, look all those people over there. Lovely. And I see people are calling their friends over. That's good. Keep it up. Bring your friends over. Tell them to have fun with this.
Yes. Oh, hi, Jessica. Oh, give your baby a hug for me. Jessica lives in New York. And so I'm always like, whenever I get to go to New York City, I get to meet up with Jessica Cortez. And now she's got a sweet little baby with her. Oh, nice. Sorry to get us off track. Yes. I have baby fever right now. Probably not good leading into Valentine's Day.
Okay. Myth number 1 is that your Valentine's experience, celebration, whatever, has to be fancy or special or like elaborate. Like there's this idea that you must put on your best dress and go to the best restaurant in town, or that there has to be this really, picky gift. Like you have to pick this really nice gift or something like that. There's this idea that it has to be everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that that's even true if you're single, because I think even if you're single and you're not in a relationship, you still feel like you have to do this Valentine's Day or this really big event to to celebrate the holiday. So I don't even think it's just for people who are in a relationship, but yeah, there's definitely that pressure. And I always hated it the day after Valentine's Day or the few days after, because people would always say, what did you guys do for Valentine's Day? And if you didn't do anything big, it's almost like they would give you that look like, oh, you're not that loved,
Yes. And so like in our family,
there's a peer pressure.
Yes, there is. So what we decided to do when we got married is my husband and I decided that Valentine's Day was going to be like the cheesiest thing we could make it. Like anything that is like cliched or anything like that is that's Valentine's Day. So like I have so many of the cheapy stuffed animals.
A teddy bear's holding a heart.
Yes. Like every version. I've got like a tiger. I think I've got an elephant. I've got so many of them, and they line the headboard of my bed. They're just all up there lining the headboard of my bed. But it's
like every day of the year.
Yes. They are all the time. They are. They're out all the time, but we do cheesy and like cliche. So my flowers back here, my tulips, I actually got my Valentine's Day flowers early. They were sitting on the desk when I came down to do this live. He brought them early this year. So I usually get tulips because you do flowers, and then I'll get something cheesy, like the stuffed animal or the chocolates or something. And part of that started out of practicality, because you may not have the finances to do something really big and elaborate and expensive, or the logistics. If you've got little kids and it's going to require a babysitter and all of that kind of stuff, like you don't have to be fancy and expensive, saying, hey, after the kids go to bed, we're going to order a pizza and it's going to get delivered just for us at 9:00 tonight,
Right.
That is special, and that works. It doesn't have to be fancy.
I mean, really, it's anything that takes thought and a little bit of energy, that's what's the most meaningful thing. I mean, yeah, I will admit that there were times where early in our relationship with my husband, like I expected a lot. And now I've just learned that if he just says something nice to me or writes a little letter for me, that is enough for me, because it means more than, spending double the amount of money on roses or going out. And like Rachel was sharing that when she first started dating her husband, they had to go out to dinner.
Story. We're going to read Rachel's story because I love this here.
Okay.
So on Rachel's first Valentine's Day, she was dating her husband and they all got dressed up and the waiting lines were 2 hours long. So they ate at Arby's.
Nice.
I love that. And then Jennifer Purcell has one here too, where she says her parents would buy them Dairy Queen and they would eat it by candlelight.
Oh,
And
That's so
so,
sweet.
it's that thing. So I'm gonna pitch the podcast a little bit here. If you listened to a Rough Draft Life podcast this week, we talked about how celebrations, like, they don't have to be this elaborate thing, that the party can overtake the person, or in this case, the relationship or whatever you're celebrating for Valentine's Day. And, that just, it doesn't mean as much because everybody gets all frazzled. But, that's a great memory she has now of going to Arby's.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, we're not always in a position where we can spend the money or spend the time or even have the energy. Like, if you just had a baby and you're trying to celebrate Valentine's Day, all that you want is for somebody to maybe come over and change a diaper for you. Like, that would be a gift enough. There was, when we first started to adopt my daughter, it was obviously going to cost a lot of money because we were originally trying to do international, and we had to like really save up our money. And so every important day, I would get a letter from my husband. We wouldn't spend any money, but he would write something down for me. So there are times where you can't afford to do something fancy or elaborate, or big gifts or anything. So yeah, I think that we can get sucked into that. I know I have in the past, and it's hard because we see the commercials. You always see more jewelry commercials, and
all the jewelry commercials, man.
Yeah. And, I think I've gotten jewelry once for Valentine's Day, and I don't know. But at the same time, like, I also, whether before I was married and since I've been married, I'm not ashamed to go do something on my own or buy myself flowers. So, I mean, if you're a flower girl, not like in a wedding, you know what I mean? If you're like a flower girl.
If you're a flower girl and you're married.
Yeah.
I want to see the dress.
Yeah, that might be a little awkward.
If you're married and you're a flower girl.
Yeah. But I mean, if flowers are something you've always wanted to get on Valentine's Day, go buy yourself a flower on Valentine's Day. Go pick some out of, your backyard. What if you live in Hawaii? I guess there's not really a lot of flowers unless you live somewhere really far south. But
have a greenhouse.
Do something for you. And here's the other thing. If you want to do something elaborate, if you want to do something fancy, do it. Yeah. That's something that Kristi and I recognize, is that it's okay.
But don't feel pressure to do it if it's not something you really don't want to do.
Exactly. But if you want to take a $300 weekend away and stay at some really nice hotel and eat a great dinner, by all means, go ahead. Just make sure that it's what you want to do and not because someone's going to ask you what you did for Valentine's Day.
So myth number 2, and I'm frozen.
Oh, you just look like you're very peaceful right now.
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, but
oh my goodness, that's so weird. Okay, well, me and my Zen peacefulness here is going to talk about myth number 2.
Okay.
So one of the myths, number 2, is that it's a stupid Hallmark holiday. And that's just not true. It has a very long history. So let's see. I'm going to try to fix my camera. You tell them about the history.
Well, now I'm not going to remember it. But, there was the belief that there was a priest. I don't remember how many hundreds of years ago this was. And he would, even though marriages had become illegal in Europe, like in a particular part of Europe, he was secretly marrying couples. And so some people believe that's where Saint Valentine first came from. And then there have been other stories along the way. And I don't know, Kristi knew the rest of the stories. And she's
so there's a few now I'm just a blank screen.
Yeah. But we see your name.
Oh my goodness, this is so strange. Now I'm just a blank screen, but that's okay. You can still hear me, and tech support may do some things. Maybe take Janine out and bring her back in and see if that does it. So one of the stories is that he was marrying soldiers. I'm still not there. I may have to go completely out and come back in. But that he would marry soldiers in secret, or that he would help. It was all about helping whatever story you hear. It was always about helping people overcome these obstacles into marriage. And so that is how he became associated with, love and all that sort of thing, because he was connected to marriage and couples and those early relationships.
Right. And so you can even see there are Valentines from the Victorian era. You can look those up on Google, and there are these gorgeous cards that people used to make each other and send to each other. So it isn't even a 21st century thing. It has gone back several hundred years.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the idea of the Valentine's cards and stuff, that's fairly new. That really, really took off in the Victorian era with the printing press and paper being cheaper. But before then, it was like letters, like your husband were at you. Writing those Valentine's letters was a very big deal. Handmade Valentines were a very big deal. And so the history of Valentine's Day is actually much, much older than Hallmark. And so there's this idea that it's stupid or we don't like it. I think a lot of times that's this going back to that societal pressure we put on Valentine's Day. George, who I think is related to you because he has the same last name as you, thinks I should use a cat filter. My
husband.
Your husband thinks I should be a cat. I'm really here and I'm not
troll us this whole time. That's great.
So, I think that pressure that we have put on Valentine's Day, this whole thing that we're talking about tonight, is why people say they hate Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It's because there's all of this stuff and they feel like they need to not like it. And here's the thing. If you don't like Valentine's Day, like you really don't like it, then ignore it. Like it's one of those things, like there's no reason to hate on other people's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it does have a tradition. And for some people it is a moment that makes them stop and think and remember and like, hey, we do want to do something special. We want to spend some time together. It's just that, hey, I remember that you really like this coffee and I'm going to go pick it up for you in the morning or, something like that. That's not a bad thing. And we don't need to hate on it just because it's not our thing.
Right. And I think the reason why so many people got a bad impression of it is, for me, it was in high school because I was the girl that never had a boyfriend in high school and would watch all of my friends just, they would all get the stuffed animals and the chocolates and everything from their boyfriends. And I would always feel so bad. And then to add worse, like to add even more to this. And I saw one of my high school friends is in here. And so she probably remembers me. I mean, she does remember me from high school, but we would do this thing for our student council where you could send flowers.
Yes.
Now, I'm not positive if that was for Valentine's Day or another day, but
cans of crushed soda.
You could send cans of crushed soda, and then it was like, I have a crush on you.
Yeah.
And so then if you didn't get one sent to you, like everyone knew it because they would come in and they would deliver.
Yes. And you'd have these girls walking around, or if it was roses, there's these girls walking around like pageant queens, man. They had like 20 roses, and they're like having to carry them around all day because they got delivered in homeroom. And I just remember thinking like that was so embarrassing because I didn't have a boyfriend in high school either. And is this a thing? Like, I would wonder how many romance authors had boyfriends in high school, or if we all just got used to doing it in our head. Anyway.
That was totally me. And yes. I imagined my own Valentine's Days.
So there's this whole thing on it that makes people get these bad memories of Valentine's Day. And I think it's just really important to move on from that and just say, those are not a thing that we need to worry about. We need to just let people celebrate Valentine's Day if they like, not feel pressured to do it in a different way than we would normally do it. And if you really hate it, just, ignore it. Let it just be a date on the calendar.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Janine, if there is something you would like for Valentine's Day, make sure you drop a hint, because George just said that he's looking for hints tonight. So,
all right, love letter, George. Write me a love letter.
Myth number 3. Oh, Hannah says she is a romance author and she did not have a boyfriend in high school either.
Okay.
So maybe this is a thing.
Yeah. We got to see, maybe we got to learn from everybody else's experience.
Boyfriends, Yes. When I was in high school, you could actually go buy a boyfriend in a box at Claire's, and it came with like a picture and a frame and like a love letter that you could show to your friends and pretend you had a boyfriend. You could buy a fake boyfriend in a box.
Well, I totally did that once. I didn't buy the kit. But there was one point in time where I did pretend I had a boyfriend. And here's the thing. None of my friends believed me. They were all like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
And then I did have a boyfriend for about 6 weeks one summer, and he lived in Maryland. And I don't think my friends believed me about him either. And I'm like, he's real. I promise he's real. Yeah, this time he's real. I didn't make him up.
Speaking of friends, let's go on to myth number 3 here.
Hi.
Myth number 3 is, hello. Hi,
she just celebrated Valentine's Day at school. So did you get any cool Valentines? Did you get any Valentines from boys?
I don't know.
Probably. See, now if you're a little kid, it's all about the candy that comes with the Valentine.
I know, because it's
when we were young, we didn't have that.
Give it for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Myth number 3 is that only singles can celebrate with their friends. So, there's this whole thing of like Galentine's Day, or have you heard of Valentine's Day?
Oh, no. But how is that not the name of... I feel like Lissa K. Adams, who wrote the Bromance Book Club, I feel like she needs to write that.
So you have Galentine's and Valentine's.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's. I don't think that you hear about that as much, apparently, because like guys are gonna be like, "Hey, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?" It's just not a thing, but it's a thing. But it's like they get together and all the girls get together and maybe watch movie nights or do mani-pedis or whatever, and guys cook a steak, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, since my husband has been trolling me, my husband has a group of guy friends, and they get together and go in their hot tub together. They go hot tubbing.
That sounds very
guys' night. Very Valentine's.
Very Valentine's.
So I don't know if that's what he's planning on doing this year or not.
But I think
probably on the phone right now.
Yeah, like if I have a boyfriend or if I have a husband, you have your significant other, then I must do Valentine's Day with them. Mm-hmm. It's not true.
You don't have to. Yeah,
it's not. If it's like you have, especially if you have some friends that are single and some friends that are coupled up, then maybe it's a good thing to say, hey, you know what? All the girls are going to get together and have a movie night, have a girls' night, do our own thing, So
that's a great idea.
Also,
like if you're at a point in your relationship, I've been married for 19 years now. And, if my husband doesn't feel like going out and celebrating something like Valentine's Day, and I do, I'm allowed to go out. I'm allowed to go out with my friends or, go out and grab dinner or go see a movie. There's no rule that says you absolutely have to spend that day with the person, you're the person you just started dating or the person you've been married to for 19 years. You can.
Well, think about also how many other holidays you have. You have your anniversary, which that one is a little hard to say you can go spend that one with your friends. Anniversary should probably be spent, with the other half of the couple. Birthdays, holidays, all of these different days that you get to spend together and celebrate with each other. So to say for this one, I'm going to go hang out with the girls, or go sit in a hot tub with a dozen other guys. Whatever works. and apparently with a floating bowl of popcorn. it's a picture that I'm forming in my head here.
It is.
But you've got all these other dates that you get to spend with your significant other. So to take Valentine's Day and hang out with your friends, it's not a bad thing to do.
Right. And you also have to consider that there are people around you who they might be in a relationship, but maybe their husband's deployed right now.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're in a long distance relationship. And so they're not feeling great. Cause I think it would be even harder if you were in a relationship, but you didn't even have the choice to spend that time with the person. And so I think it's important that we open up our eyes and look around us. Maybe there's a single mom, who would love to have somebody show love to her kids that day. I think it's important that we look around, look outside of ourselves, and it just make it special for all the people around us that we love.
Absolutely. The other thing I think about is the fact that you don't have to do it on February 14th. Because some people work, all of those servers working at all the restaurants that get all the people in it, which I'm not sure what that's going to look like this year, but they don't get to go spend their Valentine's Day. They're spending their Valentine's Day working. And so, do it on a different day if you want to.
Skip the lines.
That's
celebrate it after the fact and get the flowers
get it all half off. A lot of people do Galentine's Day on the 13th. I'm thinking it really should be on the 15th, so you get the half price chocolate.
Exactly. Yeah.
You really should do it on the 15th.
That's smart. We need to plan this for next year.
We need to plan this. This is the thing. Galentine's Day on the 15th to get the half price chocolate, and everything is on sale. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are halfway through these myths. Myth number 4. This is the big one. You put this one in the teaser video for this event.
That video, I cracked myself up with that video.
Such a huge misconception about Valentine's Day.
Yes.
That it is the perfect time to get engaged.
Yeah. Or if it's not engaged, it's the perfect time to put so much pressure on your relationship that you make it weird. What are we gonna do?
We've been dating 3 weeks. Let's have the talk. Are we boyfriend and girlfriend? That should happen on Valentine's Day. Absolutely.
Yes. And it's sad because you see it even at really young ages. When my son was in 5th grade, his best friend didn't know what he should do for Valentine's Day for the girl that was his girlfriend. They're in 5th grade. And, my kids have done that. They show up the night before and they're like, I need to get a box of chocolates for a girl, but I'm not telling you which girl it is. Okay, is this going to make it weird? It's
going to make it weird. It's going to make it weird. If your relationship is not naturally at that level, it's going to make it weird. So you don't want to rush getting engaged just because you feel like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. And yes, I really love this person. So I guess I should pop the question. No. Don't let the calendar tell you it's time to get married.
Yes. Oh goodness.
So it's you don't want Valentine's Day to push you into it. And you don't want to be sitting in October and be like, yeah, I know it. I want to marry this person. Now I gotta wait for February.
And I have to get my tickets to the top of the Empire State Building.
Yes.
And I need I need to fly to Paris and propose to her under the Eiffel Tower. No.
And there's so much pressure to then you've got to make it even bigger. And if you have somebody who's really private or wants to be really special, you got to think about the personality of the person you're going to propose to. So even if you're ready, if they are not going to want to tell the story of, it was Valentine's Day and we went to dinner and there was a ring in my mashed potatoes and it was weird.
Mashed potatoes. Yeah, that would be great. Not the champagne. Mashed potatoes.
Just whatever, the idea that there was this ring in it and that you feel like if there's somebody who's going to want a very special and unique story, because they're going to tell this story a lot, maybe not Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, really think about the person. Would the person really appreciate the Valentine's-iness of a Valentine's proposal, because there is just a certain idea around a Valentine's Day proposal that,
Yes.
you know, is going to stick with it forever. That's going to be your story forever. And really think about it. Is that something you want? Is that something that person, that the other person is going to want? Because you are going to tell this story many times. Before,
yes.
Those first few years of marriage, and leading up to the marriage, you will tell the story a lot.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the couch with wet hair because he had come to pick me up for the date and I was not ready yet. And he proposed. I'm barefoot, wet hair, sitting on a couch.
Yeah. Nice. It
was so cute. It was so cute. He had a teddy bear with the rings on it.
Aww.
It's adorable.
That is sweet.
But, you know, it was special. It was special for us. It was special for me. And so make sure that you are making it about the other person and not about Valentine's Day.
Right. Exactly.
Hannah does not want to be proposed to with a ring in her mashed potatoes. And I would like to know why, because I think that sounds amazing.
But then you'd have to pause and the mashed potatoes would get cold. And who likes to eat mashed potatoes when they're cold? You know, let's keep our priorities straight. You know, at least wait till dessert. Have it put in the bread pudding.
Put it in the cake. Like the little.
You know what's funny is all I can picture is like Kentucky Fried Chicken mashed potatoes right now. And so
it's like the ring is on the end of the spork that you use the mashed potatoes from KFC. Again, goodness. If that ever happens to you, I want pictures.
Okay.
Pictures.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I'm going to make it a challenge. I want somebody to get engaged at Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's probably, I shouldn't say that. I'm sure there are people.
Sandwich. I've seen it sticking out of the bun of a Chick-fil-A sandwich before.
Oh, but I mean, that would be sweet. Like my son has been working at Chick-fil-A for years. So if he married some girl he worked with, that'd be cute. It's got to have a reason behind it.
Yes. So myth number 5. It has to be memorable and shareable. And you kind of hinted at this earlier because you're like, everybody's going to ask you, you know, when you go to work the next day or whatever, what did you do for Valentine's Day? Or it's going to be, you know, on Instagram. Are you going to Instagram your Valentine's date? You know, you're going to put that all out there so that everybody can see how wonderful your Valentine's Day was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on that. There's a lot of pressure on what's this going to look like or sound like to everybody else. And I think that's a stupid myth. And we need to just like take that idea and kick it out.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it is hard because if you've been, you know, single for a long time and then suddenly you have someone who does something for you on Valentine's Day, there is this, at least for me, like I wanted people to know, like, I am adored and I am loved. And, you know, because I think I had held that insecurity for so long that I must not be worthy of that kind of affection. I shouldn't be worthy of that kind of appreciation. And so when I finally had my husband, you know, and we were just dating at the time, and he did the most elaborate Valentine's Day for us when we were dating. And I mean, his best friend was dressed like Cupid in white spandex and came to see us when we were at a candlelit park. I mean, it was, he pulled out all the stops, right? And of course I would have wanted to share that, you know. Now I wouldn't have shared it. This was before social media. I wouldn't have shared it to make anybody feel sad about their own situation. But I think that there is this temptation to want to just say, like, look, somebody loves me.
Somebody loves me.
Because not all of us grew up believing that about ourselves, that we were worthy of that. And so I think that there is a big temptation for it. So I never fault anyone when they share. You know, sometimes it's so adorable and it brings joy to my heart. But I also know that there's sometimes where, it's coming from a place of past hurts, and it's a time for celebration.
Yeah. But I think it would be good to celebrate that celebration,
Mm-hmm.
So if it is somebody saying, hey, look, it's pizza after the kids went to bed, then what you should be celebrating is the love that means,
Right.
or if it's, hey, you're studying for a test because, you're in school or you're working late or whatever, and they bring you your favorite drink from Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your Valentine's Day date. The love that shows, that's what we should be focusing on celebrating. So you were talking about your Valentine's Day when you were dating. So I had to grab this because this was my first Valentine's present.
Oh.
So those of you who follow me on social media, I have all of these Beanie Babies, and they are my mascots for different things. And so you can blame Jacob, because this little guy was one of the first that actually meant anything to me. I had like a couple from Beanie Baby craze, because people gave them to me. But this was the first one that really meant anything to me, because he gave me this guy and some tulips for our very first Valentine's Day. So cute. And so he kind of started the obsession. And I like the way he dances on the screen. But that was my first Valentine's Day. It was this guy and some tulips. And that meant a lot to me. He got me this guy because he's a mountain lion, and he grew up in the mountains. So I would call him my mountain lion or my mountain goat, depending on how, generous I was feeling at the time, if he was going to be a goat or a lion.
Yeah.
But it should be meaningful. It should show you that you're loved, because like you are saying, like not everybody feels loved. Like you don't feel like you're worthy of love. And so I think the really good thing to focus on for Valentine's Day is, how do you show those friends, that spouse, those kids, like whoever it is you are sharing Valentine's Day with, how do you show them that they are loved? Whether that is a fancy dinner, whether it's pizza, whether it's coffee, whether it's Beanie Babies, whether it is a very special card that you went and picked out at, the card shop or the Walmart or the Dollar Tree. If you need Valentine's Day cards, they're 2 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. So,
right.
There you go. But it's really important to remember that you need a life that you enjoy offline as much as you enjoy looking at somebody else's online.
Right. Right.
So you don't focus on the shareability of Valentine's Day. It doesn't have to be a perfectly Instagrammed moment. So,
and you can skip social media for that day.
If you
are, in a place where you are not able to celebrate what other people have going on, and maybe you're just, maybe you've just had a breakup, or maybe it's been a long time since you've been in a relationship. It's okay to log off of social media for the day. There were times when, again, before social media, I couldn't handle watching romantic movies or reading romance books or listening to country music. Oh, if you're already brokenhearted or lonely, country music it just digs that dagger right in. So it's okay to take a self-care day and back away from social media if you think you're going to be seeing a lot of other people's, posts about Valentine's Day.
That's true. Or just don't post yours.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come chase you down and be like, you didn't post on Valentine's Day. They really aren't. They're not paying that much attention to you. They're just looking at what is in their screen, not what isn't. So, just skip it. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know. All right. Yes. Myth number 6. You have to be totally in love to celebrate Valentine's Day.
Oh, I feel like this has made many, many people nervous through the years. What do you do if you've been dating somebody for 2 months and you like them a lot, but you're not ready to go buy them the $500 ring? Yes.
It's like, is there a Valentine's Day card that says, I like you a lot?
Probably, but it's probably one of the ones that my daughter got. I don't think they have adult ones like that.
But I mean, think about like going and picking a Valentine's Day card for someone you've been dating for only a couple months or only like, a few weeks or whatever is, man, that's hard because you're either picking one that's like aimed at a kid or you're trying not to say more than you're ready to say. Yeah. Because there's this idea of Valentine's Day is for those who are completely and totally in love. And it's just not true. And I think back to, like you said, the Valentine's days before you were married, and that it being just about caring for people. Like I remember one Valentine's Day buying little gifts for like 5 or 6 of my friends just to say happy Valentine's Day because I wanted to celebrate it. And, I didn't have a boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
So, you can care about people without being in love with somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if this is Dave or Kristi who has said this, but they said, even when you've been together 21 years, it's hard to find the right card.
See, and I'm married to someone in finance. So if I were to spend $5 on a card, that would not be a gift for him. So
for $1 at the Dollar Tree. For $1, 50 cents.
He's going to go there now and he's going to get me a card just because of you saying that. But yeah, you don't even have to have the like formal card. You can it's fine. Yeah.
Yes. Like anything. It can be even, think back to when people made cards themselves. When you were like as a kid and you folded the construction paper in half and you glued the paper doily in the middle and you wrote, I love you, mommy in it. And she was so happy to get it. And, there's a reason because the sentiment behind it. And I think that's really what we keep getting back to is that whatever you do for Valentine's Day, whether it is super cheesy, or if it's super elaborate, or if it's super fancy, or it's super nothing because you just want to skip Valentine's Day and wait for the cheap candy,
Yes.
It's all okay. Because the thing to focus on for Valentine's Day is not the romance of it or the idea of what Valentine's Day is supposed to be. It's just to focus on caring about people.
Right. It's funny you brought up the Valentines that our kids would make us. I have this sitting at my writing desk, and it's a card that my daughter made me. It says, I love you, Mom. And it's not the fanciest thing, but I've had it sitting here for 6 months, right above my Bible that I can look at whenever I want to remember that I'm loved and cherished. It's sitting right here. So yeah, write it on a piece of notebook paper. And what I wanted to say, this goes back to my, where I'm teaching at the college. I teach mostly, typical college age students, although sometimes we have people who are older and coming back to school. And it's important that you're able to have the communication with someone, even if you've only been dating them for a couple weeks. You need to be able to have a conversation with them and be able to say, hey, isn't it weird that Valentine's Day is coming up? I'm not exactly sure what we should do for it. Here's where I feel like we are in our relationship. What do you think? If you're not able to have that conversation with the person that you're dating, maybe that's something you need to work on, is to be able to have that conversation. And I think it's a sign of maturity in a relationship. And I think it's impressive when people can say, hey, I really like you. I'm not at the point where I can commit, to a love relationship, but it is important that we're able to communicate. So, and I think it's
okay if that communication is, we've been dating 2 weeks and I want to keep dating you, but we're just going to skip Valentine's Day this year. That's a completely appropriate communication.
Or let's go to Arby's.
Let's go to Arby's.
Yeah. We'll meet the McDaniels there. We'll have a nice little Arby's meal. Now
I mean,
that gives me an idea.
There's so many like cheap, fun ways you can do Valentine's Day. You could say, all right, each of us is going to go into the dollar store. You've got $5.
Yeah.
Go put a basket together.
Yes. We totally used to do that. We would go to the store with $10 and we had to buy something.
It's a completely acceptable way to do Valentine's Day. And you will have a great memory. It will be appropriate for, the level of depth your relationship has. And it's absolutely fine. And it's okay to celebrate it on the 15th or on the 13th, or we're probably going to celebrate it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because the restaurants will be bad enough tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly not stepping foot in them on the 14th.
Right.
So
another thing is when it comes to communication, I think it's also okay for you to say, if you're single, if your husband's deployed, if you're a widow, to say to someone, hey, I think this Valentine's Day might be really hard for me. Mm-hmm. And I would love it if we could grab coffee in the morning, or if we could go on a walk together, or if I could just, now this might not be very coronavirus, safe, but can I just come over and have a hug? I used to have one of my dearest friends in college. She sometimes would walk in and she would say, can I have a hug? I just need a hug. And for me, not being very affectionate at the time, like I would always give her a hug, even though it wasn't the first thing on my radar. And so, I think part of that self-care is being able to say, this is what I need from you right now. And I would love it if you could help me out that way, And even if we are married, if we are in a relationship, if I could, it's important that I could go to my husband and say, look, typically Valentine's Day is not a big deal in our house, but for some reason this year, I really need a nice dinner out or something. I think it's important that we're able to communicate our needs to the people around us.
So is that a hint for George? Do we need to?
No, because
sending him the catalogs with the jewelry.
No, I was telling Kristi earlier that we always do chocolate fondue, and it is one of my favorite nights of the year because I love chocolate fondue, and it's the only time we do it. So no, I don't want anything to get in the way of the chocolate fondue. Just get out of my way. It's my favorite.
No, Regina, we cannot see you. You are not on camera. Regina said, it's good to see you guys, but you can't see me, right? No, you can be in your pajamas or however, and it's fine. We cannot see you.
Yes. Regina was just talking about, I believe it was her on Facebook today. She was talking about, she watched the movie My Fair Lady.
Yes.
And kind of had a different perspective watching it and how differently we can see those romantic movies. And, sometimes the romantic movies they're not our type of romance. And,
they're not. And I think that is one of the things to really point out is that, when you're reading a book or you're watching a movie, which is where a lot of these ideas about Valentine's Day comes from, it's not going to be in there unless it's important. Mm. And so the idea that those are the only versions of Valentine's Day that we see kind of underlines this idea that Valentine's Day should be important and significant and whatnot. There's, entire movies about Valentine's Day. There is a great movie, by the way, that's called I Hate Valentine's Day. It's actually really, really funny. But, there's all of this pressure from movies and books and things like that. But those only hit the important things. We only put important moments in books and movies because we're wanting to tell a story. You get to live all of the unimportant days of your life as well, and so every Valentine's Day is not going to be movie worthy. So I think it's Dave that is on his account, or actually this sounds like it may have been from Kristi. She is talking about how this is going to be a different year for them because Dave is bedbound this year. He had a neurological issue, and it's going to be a different year, but they're just thankful to be together. And, they're changing what Valentine's Day looks like because life has changed and they're having to live all of these days through this. Whereas if this was a movie, you'd see the beginning and the end and it'd just be like, ta-da, but you have to live real life. And I think that's where the idea of books and movies and this romance land that we live in our heads and in our books and everything, where it breaks down in reality is because you have to live every day, every moment. The ones that, are significant, the ones that are mundane, you have to live them all. And it's okay if Valentine's Day is a mundane moment. If that is what you need right now, then that's okay. So last thought.
Thank you for sharing that. That was, I mean, we are all in a different situation. So it's good to be reminded that, not everybody's Valentine's Day looks the same.
So any last thoughts on romance of Valentine's Day in reality versus, fiction land?
Well, I would say that if you are a romantic, is on Valentine's Day or any other day of the year, do not be ashamed of it.
Absolutely.
I feel like I was shamed for being a romantic for a long time. Now, I will say I probably took it to an unhealthy level, so that maybe they were right in saying things, but I had a lot of people tell me that I needed to get my head out of the clouds, and not be such a romantic or not be such a feeler or not be so sensitive. And I think we're at a good place in our society right now where we're letting people be who they're meant to be. Some people are more romantic than others. And I don't think anybody should be ashamed for loving Valentine's Day or for loving every little bit of the romantic experience that you can possibly have. There's no shame in it at all. And then there's no shame in it if it's just not your thing either.
And if you are a romantic who is married to a not romantic, you'll find that balance in the middle. And maybe it's that y'all do Valentine's Day up super cheesy. That would be us. My husband's super practical and I am all about the romance. So we just found what worked for us, which is cheesy. That means he knows kind of what to get every year, like what direction to go to make me really happy.
Right.
So it works. So you find that thing that works. And like you were saying, that is with communication and everything.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm obviously a big romantic. My husband is not. And almost every night I'll say to him, hey, will you think of something sweet to say to me? Because I love words of affirmation, and it just doesn't occur to him to think of those, or he'll think of it, but he won't speak it. And so, I have to give him that prompt, almost every night. Like, I just need to hear something sweet from you. And he's always great about it. He's never once made me feel like I was dumb for asking that or expressing my need in that way. So
he thinks you look beautiful.
No, thanks.
But I'm pretty sure if I told my husband to say something sweet to me, I would get cake, cookies,
chocolate fondue,
sugar.
You know what's funny is I was just thinking, I've never written about Valentine's Day in any of my books. And then I remembered, oh, yes, I did. My couple went out for chocolate fondue.
Because that's Valentine's Day.
Yes. And it's perfect.
So we have loved having you guys spend the last hour with us. If you want to know more about Janine and her books and her romance stuff, you can find her at JanineRoche.com or at Janine Roche over on Instagram.
Here are my books.
Yes, and there are her books.
I can't figure out how to move my books around.
And if you want to find me and my books, you can find me at KristiAnnHunter.com or just find me at KristiAnnHunter over on Instagram or Facebook. And I don't think I have any of my books handy. I can't.
And we are going to keep this series going. We're going to talk through a lot of other myths, in dating, myths in marriage, and we're going to keep this series going. I have so much fun. Yes, I have so much fun talking with Kristi. So we definitely want to keep this going in the future. So if you have any ideas what you'd like for us to talk about, please let us know. Yes. We would love to hear from you.
Yes, and so even though I feel like I'm thanking myself when I do this, I do want to thank the A Rough Draft Life team for helping out. We got some tech support going on over here and using some of their back end stuff to present this. And it'll be over on the A Rough Draft Life YouTube channel. If you are wanting to share this video with somebody, you can go over to YouTube and find A Rough Draft Life. And that channel will have this video on there so you can share it from there if you know somebody who needs to hear it. So we will be drawing for our Ferrero chocolates sometime either tonight or tomorrow. So we will contact you and let you know if you won those and get your address so we can ship them to you. If there is some myths you would like us to talk about, let us know. You can send a message to Janine or me or send it to the A Rough Draft Life team, and we will add it to the list of myths we will debunk for you and separate fiction from reality.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. Any last words, Janine?
Thank you, everyone. No, just thank you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you, around. So.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.